Men in the Arena Army, we salute you and welcome to Book 4 of The Descent. This is Team Meeting 9 called Coach or Pastor, where we discuss whether we think Jesus was more of a pastor or a shepherd or more of a coach. You know, if he were here today, what would he do? You know, on my hand right now, I've got a ring, and I'm really proud of this ring. This is a ring from my alma mater, Morro Bay High School, where I played through high school, where I came back and coached for 7 years. I was a head coach, I was a defensive coordinator, but it's really interesting. In 1995, I was the defensive coordinator for a team that went 13-0. I was their head freshman coach, I was their head JV coach, and then when they were seniors, I came back up, was their defensive coordinator, and they won a CIF, or what some would call a state championship. And so that's what this ring represents. But more than that, I've been intrigued that after 20 years plus of youth ministry, I'm closer to many of these athletes that I had for 3 seasons than students who I had in my youth group for 4, 5, 6 years every single week. And it got me thinking, my impact was so great with these athletes over such a period of time that was short in contrast to pastoring. What was it that I did that made an impact on these guys besides winning? And I thought about, is Jesus more of a coach or would he be more of a pastor? Well, you know, it's interesting. When I think about Jesus as coach or pastor, there are several critical Bible verses that make me think he was more of a coach. You know, in John chapter 8, we see him asking the disciples, who do you say that I am? And Peter confesses Christ as the Messiah, and Jesus gives him accolades. And just a few verses later, Jesus says, the Bible records Jesus turned around and looked at the disciples, made sure they were listening, looked at Peter in the eye and said, "Get behind me, Satan." I love that. He said, you are seeing things merely from a human point of view and not from God. So here's Jesus just jumping down Peter's face in front of others. And when I think about Jesus as coach or pastor, there are some contrasts I want to throw out at you and let you discuss them today. You know, a pastor interacts with his people weekly. He preaches to them on Sunday, and maybe there's some slight interactions throughout the week, but mainly it's a week-to-week thing. Where a coach interacts with his students, athletes, every single day. A pastor, usually their critique of another person is delayed. They find out the person is in sin, they find out something's wrong, they set up a meeting, they finally have the meeting. Where a coach, it's immediate. Critique is immediate. It's usually in between plays. You critique the performance and you're done. The third thing is, success for a pastor is really seen on how people live over the course of a lifetime, where success for a coach is really, the success is defined by a metric. That metric is called the scoreboard. The fourth thing is, a temptation as a pastor, a temptation I had was to judge the person, and to wonder why the person did that thing. Where a coach doesn't care about any kind of judgment, he cares about performance. He judges performance and not the person. And the last thing is this, as a pastor, I had students in my ministry from 6th grade all the way through high school. There's a long period of time. As a senior pastor, it could be for decades. As a coach, I had these athletes for 3.5 months. But it was so intense during that time period, we developed a deep and lasting bond. So was Jesus more of a coach, or was he more of a pastor? Is God calling you and your family to be more of a coach or more of a pastor, or a little bit of both? You're going to have a great time discussing this, guys. Either way, remember this. When a man gets it, everyone wins. So get out of the anonymous bleachers and get into the game. God bless.